Alrighty. Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Let's see if we got our sound here. Do we have our sound? Yep, there it is. There's the sound. All right. All right. All right. All right. Now, there we go. Happy New Year's Eve for some. For some, it's already New Year's, like in Australia, I believe, and New Zealand, and so forth. It's already happened. So we just jump right in. Hey, Phil, how you doing? Happy New Year to you, and good morning. Let's see what we got here. There's the Swiss franc showing you the weakness in the dollar against it. You know, it's going down, and when it goes down, it's increasing in value because there's less Swiss saltine or francs you can buy for a dollar, and that's how that works. So that's what's going on there. Whereas when we look at and that's where's it at on this? Oh, it doesn't have it on here. But when you look at the uh, label, you know, the symbol, we go like this. Sometimes I have it written on there. You see USD against Swiss. Whereas when we go over and take a look at, say, the British pound this morning, let's put it up on J4X too. You can see there it's moving down. Pressure is on. And let's go over to the cable right there. You see the cable's going up. It's GBP USD instead of USD CHF or GBP. And so that when this rises, the pound is going up in value. And so, thank you. And so that's what's going on there. Now let's take a quick look at it over here on there it is right there through the Chicago Quant side of us. You know, our proprietary stuff there. You can see it's doing the same thing as you see on the J4X. It's moving up, and it's broken through that zero line, just like we did that little zip there. Now, in this case here, you can see the same thing was here back further. It had the same characteristics, the same rhythm. This has an accuracy of being like this, about 71 to 72%, sometimes 68, 69%, but basically around the 71, 72% area in that way. So 2/3 of the time, it's always accurate to it, which is pretty good, since you know it gives you at least a flavor of what's going on there, and that's where we do the relative thing. We're looking at, let's widen that just to show you on the J4X. We're running a slow stochastic against a fast stochastic. That's what the white and the little golden dots are. And white is the fast stochastic. As you can see there, it says stoke F, whereas that is stoke D, or slow, or a stoke slow. See, it says slow D. And then this is a power one we're using to try to emulate our bands, you know, our time manifolds, and that is the CCI, you know, and just showing you the strength of it or the weakness of it. In other words, it's above, you see it above the dashed lines. At the same time, we've been above here, you know, on the weekly basis, the overall strength of it. So, and then when it drifts underneath, unfortunately, you know, it's not as accurate, you know, as this, of course, but, you know, again, this is measuring it on a weekly basis, and this is measuring it on a daily basis. So I guess if we tightened it up and tried to get it to measure it on a weekly basis, it may have some characteristics like it. We could even take a look at it right now for the fun of it, since it's a Friday and it's the last day of the year, and see how it does that. See if it stays above the little golden dotted line for a while, and compare it to this here. There it is. See how well, in this case here, it took a while for it to get past it, just the last week or so. But you can see the white lines through it. Unfortunately, this sometimes doesn't work as well as a weekly, but it does seem to give us an interesting idea on the daily. So that's where we go with that. All right, what else we got going on here this morning? As you can see, we are looking at the cable now. It seems like they've come up with some type of deal, and so we're at, again, a couple year highs on the cable. We're thinking that the product wants to go to the 38 to 42 range, which is a pretty wide range, but it definitely has that look like it wants to climb up there, and it's doing a good job at it today. As you can see, the product is trading at 36.59 on J4X there. And let's see, what is the high today? The high is 65. So we're at the highs of the day and the highs of the last few years. So it's very impressive. So, here we go. Doc, what does gas line mean? my son was writing the code. Oh, it's really bad. It's he named created three levels: gas, meat, and what was the other one? Oh, meat, like meat, MEAT, and like plot one is considered meat, and then I forget what the third one was, but it's just as bad. I can't remember what it is. I have to go look at the code. Let me see if I can find the code. You know, it'll be like what? Let me see if I can find some of the code here. Let's see, where do I go to do that? Let me think. Let's go right to here. One of these things. Oh, you know what? I can do it over here. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Where do I go? I've kind of forgotten to do that code for a second. I'll find it in a second. And oh, there it is. Okay, here it is. Okay, I can find it down here. And so he labeled one app gas. I changed the gas lines, and the other one was meat. So it was like energy, energy, and energy. He was thinking of gas for the vehicle, meat for the human to eat, and I'm trying to remember what the last one was. There's three of them. They're all whack. I'll find it in a second, and then you'll walk away laughing. And that's the way the last day of the year should be. Let's see, where is it at? I guess I have to go up in here. No. Where is it at? I'm trying to get into my code to be able to see this. Where is it at? I'm looking for the icon, but that third one is going to drive you just as crazy. Let me try this. File. Oh, I know, it's new. That's what it is. There it is. New. Power editor. Let's see, where is that? Okay, good. There it goes. Okay. So let's see. What is this? This is TM reentry. All right, gas line. Let's see. Let me find it. And then, oh yeah, this will drive. When I tell you the third one, you're going to be like, what? Open. Let's see. We'll find it. The third one. So yeah, plot one is labeled gas. Plot 2 and 3, I think, are labeled meat. In his coding, he's invented these things. And he told me years later he was hungry when he was doing the coding, and so he labeled these things those things. And let me see, where the hell is it at? And the last one. Wait till you hear what the last one is. It's wacky. It's just as wacky. Okay, here we go. I found one. What is that? That's not right. Yeah. No, that's not right. Why can't I see that? Okay, so let's do this. So file, open. Oh, there it is. That's because it's a signal. That's why. Indicator. There we go. Okay, here we go. It's a function and an indicator. Okay, let's try this. And then there, let's try this. Okay, meat, juice. That's the last one. The last one is juice. So plot 1 is meat, and plot 4 is meat. Plot 2 and plot 3 are meat, and plot 5 is juice. So that's how they got named. He claims that he needed to put gas in the car, and he was hungry. So juice and meat. He was thinking of a local convenience store that makes sandwiches. So that's how they became. I changed them to gas line because I realized it had a different. I could use it as a time manifold. I asked him to take my mathematical formula and give me a one standard deviation, like a Bollinger Band, and I wanted a mirror image, a plus and a minus. Whereas Bollinger Bands, let's see if we can put Bollinger Bands up there. Insert. This is the kind of day you do this too. You have a conversation about it like this. My objective was was to emulate the Bollinger Band with my math, and that's what we got from the time manifolds. Now let me just throw the Bollinger Band in there. Let's see, where's it at? Under the B's, right? There it is. Let's see. Properties. Yep. Okay. There's the Bollinger Band. Okay. And notice that they have a mirror image characteristic to them, but they were following this. And I wonder if we move, I don't think we can move that up there. So we'd have to move the whole thing up there. It just doesn't follow it the same way. If it's better using our white line in the histogram, the plot 1 and 4, which are in, what are they? They are a multiplier. So yeah, meat, juice, and gas. He was hungry when he wrote the code. Let's see. Hey, Robin. Yeah, so I changed it to gas line because I realized that the time manifolds had more of a insight than what met the eye of what we were trying to do. And so I started calling them gas lines, and then as time went on, I realized they were a time manifold because they show a characteristic about time that my formula does. So now I've labeled them legitimately as time manifolds, and so there's a +1 and a -1. The bottom line is the minus time manifold. The top one is a plus time manifold. In other words, in direction. They're both moving. They move in the same direction. It's like the arrow of time. So they're all moving forward. But what they're doing is they're looking back at past events. And they're calculating through our formula. And so when you put the white line in there on a more rudimentary level, notice that the moment it does break out through the top time manifold, you get strength. And notice the moment you break below it here, right, there's that one, that peak right there. And then the next one is underneath the time manifold. Notice we see the weakness for a day or two. And then not only does it do it, it does it in an extreme. It goes down and breaks the minus side, puts a low with this one on the close of that. The next day it's broken this time manifold, which is the -1 right there. So I've just accidentally done that. And then you notice it closes above it. And again, we're now making that charge onto the upside. Now it gets through gets through the plus side of the time manifold, and there's real strength there again. And you see it challenges it here, tries to dip underneath it, bounces off of it, and starts to move back up again. And that's when I started realizing, because my formula deals with time in a spatial way. So in other words, it's in packets, and so time is not consistent. It fluctuates. So the time is measured like the way we measure option volatility. Didn't mean it to do that, it just does it. And so time is measured differently. So in other words, it's not a monolithic block constantly, consistently over and over again. It changes. Time expands or contracts in velocity. So that's what it has shown me in other experiments, that time is moving faster or slower, and it goes right up there with relativity, so that's fine. And it can be a combination of perspective and so forth. Yeah, and then when they narrow, that's a whole different story right there. I think we talked about this yesterday or the day before. In this case here, this is what, the cable, right? See how it expands and then starts to contract, and they start to get close to each other. It's the beginning of another action that's going to occur. Did it here too. It gets tighter, not a lot, but it gets tighter and tighter, and then it starts to expand, and you can see expansion occurs there. So it's like a wave. It's showing you, no, there's a wave on a lake or an ocean. It's showing you the momentum and the strength of the water, the wind, you know, so forth and so on. And you can see, like right there, where it got really tight, right there at the top, we break down. We go down from 130. What's that? With the heighter, 130.83. It falls in 2 days all the way down to one. What is that? 128.63. So it drops 200 pips. You know, and it does that, and then obviously, when it does it again, it's going to. Let's see if we can find another point there, a tight point. There's another tight point right there. It's contracting, and when it starts to expand again, and we're with the white line above and the time manifold, the histogram above, you see the strength that kicks out again. And notice how it's playing off of the time manifold itself until it starts to break down here, and then you start to get sideways action again. So it's a combination of time, looking at time differently. That's how I do my string theory. I use my math to do the string theory, which comes out a lot different. We don't have 11 dimensions when changing the time function. Don't have to have 11 dimensions. We can have our 3 dimensions with no problem. It resolves the Eiger situation, the Riemann situation. Resolves a lot. I was at Strings 14 in person and been connected into all the other strings, and I can see the young bucks are starting to realize that. Last year at Strings in South Africa in 2020 in Johannesburg, you could see they were taking Witten math, and they were taking even Juan's math, and you can see they are coming out with a different time. They're trying to find. You can see they're striving for a different time function, and Witten had to sit there relatively quiet out of it all, which was entertaining to watch. Because usually, Witten is usually able to keep the. I guess what's the word? Keeps the orthodoxy alive. And Witten, over the last couple lectures that I've seen him at, is starting to lose the orthodoxy a little bit, which is good, especially when you get to the Susskind 11 dimension gig. So anyway, that's where we're at. It's a time function that changes the perception, changes the way we measure time, and that's what's one of the key functions of my math. Is it has a whole different time function difference. It's been that way for 40 some odd years, back tested on galaxy expansion and thermodynamics, the second law and so forth, for 37 million years. Going back, it tested the Dow Jones Industrial Average for 90 years, and then using from the Perimeter Institute in Liverpool. Is it Liverpool? Yeah, Liverpool, Canada, outside of Toronto. They did isotope work, and they did also was it Salmon did Arrow of Time lecture, and a 3-day or it was a 4-day lecture and conference, and without a doubt, my math is definitely a better way of measuring time. There's no doubt about it. So that's where it's at this point in time. Okay, we've gone way off. Doc has now jumped off the planet, and he is floating in space. All right, let's move along. Where are we at here? Anybody want to see any particular product? Oh, and speaking of which, Doc, which one of these indicators do you feel is most important priority in being on the right side of the trade, if you feel there is one? That's a good question, and I agree with that question. Without a doubt, when the histogram and the white line, if you're using a like in this case here, just a plain gas line 3, where, and let me just define that again, it has 5 plots, and I believe what this is, I think 1 and 4 is meat, 2 and 3 is juice, I think it is, and 5 is gas or something like that. I think that's how it works. In the end result is when the white line and the histogram are plus or just the white line, and there is no histogram or vice versa. Actually, I do that on a couple products. I don't run a white line because they're mirror images. Not mirror images. One is just a second standard deviation of it, and so of a calculation. So when the histogram is plus and it's a gas line 3, then obviously the white line is going to be plus, and vice versa. When a white line is minus, the histogram is going to be minus. Okay, so this is the most important thing right here. watching the histogram and the white lines. Now, when they're above and the time manifold is tightened and it starts to leap up, you know you're going to get some action out of that, just like you did right here again. In this case here, it's wide, and the white line roars through and gets right up to here, but it's not up to here. There's times where you can see it explode. Like there's like 3 moves right there. Notice it plateaus for a couple days. So this is the most important thing right here, especially for a daily. Now on a weekly basis, it's the same way. Watching the histogram above of the 0 line, and that's probably the most important factor. Second most important factor is watching the time manifold, seeing if it's overextended. Notice in some ways, in a lot of ways actually, when it gets way up on the outside of the range of a product, notice it goes sideways for a couple days. It goes down, starts over again, starts kicking it up again. Goes flat here, right, to there. Look what happens again. It's starting to move down. We're so far away from the time manifold itself, not the 0 line, the time manifold. And you can measure the same way with the histogram, because all this is an accentuated act. That's all it is. So in other words, you can see here it drops, 2 of them are plus, and then it drops below. You can see right to there, and then it starts to lift up. The next day it does this. Let's put a different line in there. Let's make that yellow line like we did yesterday. There we go. Notice it's broken out, and now you got 1, 2, 3, 4 days above the time manifold from it. And notice 1, 2, 3, 4. Wouldn't you like to be long during that time period? Don't we all like being long that time period? It works pretty damn well. And so, and vice versa. You can see as the histogram is breaking down, what are we doing? We're going sideways to down again. Breaking below the time manifold itself. That's what made me change it from gas to gas lines, because I realized that the time manifolds are lines that we need to pay attention to. So, does that answer your question on that scale? And then let me just throw it onto a more exotic way, and that is that notice that when the weekly is joining in and leading the overall trend, right? Notice when it starts to break down here, what do we get? We get a sell-off, and vice versa. When it breaks down through the -1 and starts to lift up, what are we starting to get? We're getting strength again. And it's all relative. Notice it breaks down here again. We get 3 or 4 days of sideways down or sideways up or whatever you want to call that. And then you can see as we move this over like that, you can see here, due to the fact that the daily is still strong in here and only gives you a minus there for a couple days and then starts up again, it's telling you that with this now buried, as much as it's really a sideways trend with an upwardly action because of the dailies, the shorter term, you can see when it gets through here, the weekly does, and gets through that time manifold, you get a couple days, and then finally you get an explosion. That's the explosion right there from it. And at the same time, it had gotten into the plus, I guess. Where's that cute little yellow line? Let's move that over. Whoa, let's see. So you can see there, it's starting to climb through. And once this starts to turn up, especially with that extreme there, it starts to get to that. Look at that. It picks up this explosion that's going to come, and it does come. And so that's pretty much the way of looking at it. So the most important is obviously on a daily would be the histogram, plus or minus. Second thing most important, or not second, but it's another way of looking at product, is taking a look at the histogram or the white line, how it's moving above the time manifold or below the time manifold, depending on where you're at. Does that make any sense? I think I gave you a good visual there. So that I think that kind of answers it. And let me just read it again. So which one of these indicators, Doc, do you feel is most important in priority in being on the right side of the trade? And that's without a doubt, obviously, histogram on a daily in the center center here, you want that to be plus to be long. You sure don't want to be short in the middle of that. That's for sure. Same thing here. When it's minus, you want to be on the downside of it. You want to be short or flat. And same thing now when the weekly starts doing that, you know that there's problems, and the problem is finding ways to make lows. In this case here, it makes, takes out that low, this low takes that low out, that type of thing, or this low takes out that low. In other words, as it's moving down below the time manifold here, and then actually getting minus, it's telling you that there's pressure. Exacto. Okay, cool. Not bad. I think I'll have my sip of cup of... Hey, Y47, how are you? Happy New Year. Did I already do Euro? Sure, but what's the difference? I'm always willing to go look at it again. Because you know what, 47? You never know what we're going to see because you asked a question. You don't know. Remember, this is trading. There are no wrong questions in trading. There are only short answers or long answers. Because you're dealing with money. So you can keep on asking questions. Transparency is obviously going to be always an answer. So let's go back and look at it. That's the cable we're looking at. Now let's go to the Euro again. I have no problem looking at the Euro. Euro is actually moving down last I saw it. Just mildly, but moving down. There it is right there. Yeah, you see a little downwardly candle. Basically trading where we were yesterday. Now you can see here, still green candles because this is a lagging indicator. But let's go over to on our Chicago Quant right there. There you go. You see a down candle in actuality. You can see it's trying to break the time manifold here on the daily, well above on the weekly. Lots of strength in there. More than likely, it's like a dead cat bounce. Nothing major. Probably going to bounce again. Because we were in a weekly buy for a while there. Cowboy. Just doing the webinar. How much you up today? Tell the world how much you're up or down.
I'm not trading.
You're not trading?
I'm not trading. I'm up $50 or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I made enough this week. So $8 grand. I'm happy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm happy that nobody's buying and selling much. So.
Yeah.
Forgot you're on your webinar. Hello. Happy New Year. Bye.
All right. Talk to you. So there it is. You can see that euro against the dollar showing a little weakness. So there's some pressure there. What else is there going on there? What else can we say? As far as I'm concerned, I think it's a dead cat bounce, or in this case, the selling off is going to be a dead cat bounce. It's just going to do something like this or like this. I don't think they're going to take it apart. But we'll see. We've been in a weekly buy for, what is it, over on the fact check spreadsheet, which is line 14, is 10 weeks we've been in a weekly buy. So maybe they're going to try to take some profits. Maybe it'll bring it down to the 21. Who knows? If we get into a daily sell, I would assume that you have a shot at that. We first need the histogram below the zero line. That would help, for the selling side of it. Second of all, we would like to see the white line on the weekly try to at least get below the time manifold. Notice that how wide it is. And I guess if we contract this, let's see if we do this. I mean, we've seen some bulges in the time manifold there. So, I mean, we're just starting to get towards the mean of the highs of it. This is a little more of a distortion, but then that was a heck of a move right there. So, let's see. See if we can find anything else in there. That was a nice distortion. It's all relative in the end result. And it's got nothing to do with your female family members. There we go, right there. So that's the action. Oh, middle age. Oh, let me show you what Robin called me last night. I was out to dinner. And I came back and I looked at what I think it was you or someone else had asked about. He said he'd heard something. Let's go over there. I had it. Where's it at? Right there. There we go. Now, that's hogs, isn't it? That's hogs. Let's go over to cattle. Let me show you what's going on with the cattle. Where's cattle? Right there. Yeah. So that line was in there because of that. Because the histogram and the solid line were lifting through it at one point. Now let's open up what we sent you or what we look. Yeah, let me go over there and see if we take a look at that. Remember, transparency is the truth. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So that's what we sent over last night too. See that right there with that? So it's trying to get into a buy. Problem is we had the red dot. That's why that's there, not here. Because it's got the red dot on it. Now we'll see how they treat that today. If it opens up, around here and then starts to move down below the close of yesterday after the first half hour or so, it's probably going to start selling down, and we'll also see if this line goes minus. In other words, we see the histogram drop below the zero line here, or that'll give you an indication. But that's what that was all about. Does that help out? Was that you, Robin? Was that middle age? Happy New Year, middle age. And you know what? We have no problem, trying to resolve these things because it's trading and money, so we're always concerned. All right, let's check out silver. Silver's did another wacko thing. The data came in and shifted. We might want to take a look at that too. Let's try that. There's silver. Is that silver? Yeah, that's silver. Right, now check this out. I'm going to move this down for a second. Check this out on silver. Where's silver at? Right there. Is that silver? Yeah, it's silver. Okay. Look at this. Now, it's below the zero line from last night. Now, let's bring this up here. And you can see, what was it? So, I guess this was last night. Yeah, I guess that's last night, right? So it was plus. That's why the line was in there. Somewhere's in the middle of the night, the math moved it back down on its own. Data came in. They changed the amount of trades that were in it somehow or another, or prices or whatever, and the math moved it down. Now you can see here we really should be in a sell because the histogram and the line now is minus. Not only is it minus, it's below the time manifold too, and so it's pushed it into a sell. Look at this, 2 days in a row where now the data has come into a point where it's knocked out our dots altogether. The dots are not even there those 2 days. That's wacko. I mean, you see usually like over here 1 day. It's very rare to see 2 days. There's a 1 day again. There's a 1 day right there. At the corners. Sometimes it happens at the corners where things are topping out or bottoming. Where's the other one? Right here it was bottoming. And this one was, I guess, bottoming again. I don't know. It plays out over a couple of days. Yeah, let's go back to the cattle again. So that's what's going on with silver. So look at silver. I mean, I threw the red line in there this morning. It's minus. I mean, it should be one. Matter of fact, that green now should be like removed altogether. But the math was right at the time and picked it up, and you could see the gap up and the strength in it. And then somehow or another, they added more data, and it's it's a good service. But it happens. They do that now in some of these products. Somehow or another, it does it in stocks too. The information comes in. It's like, where did that come from? Those damn black pools and those hidden information in trades that they're not following the laws to. It's like our elections. They don't follow laws anymore. And so here it is there. You can see it's definitely silver's trying to be pushed down again. Rob and I were talking about it yesterday. Oh man, maybe this thing's got to run to the 30 again. And I was saying to Robin, yeah, and then sell some if we get into a weekly sell. And you can see here we're in a weekly buy. It's acting awful strong, but we're getting more sloppiness again. Maybe it's just the end of the year stuff. Now, where was it? Hogs. Let's go back to Hogs. Where's Hogs? There's Hogs. I think I had Hogs up there right in the beginning too. There it is. There's Hogs. It's still in a buy from here. This is a 3-5 because the way it moves slower. Hogs trade slower than some of the other products. So what we're using here, let me just show. Oh, it's right there. So what we're doing is we're using plot 6, which is the 5. That's why it's our gas line 5, and then the rest of this from plot 5 all the way to plot 1 is gas line 3. So you're looking at 2 gas lines, in essence. What you're doing is doing a calculation for both of those, but only on plot 6 is a 5, gas line 5. The rest of these are gas line 3s. So, and that's what the supers always do. So when you see like a super 7, or 5-7 or a super 5, chances are it's a 7 in the plot 6. Matter of fact, I have one super that does a plot 31 on the 6, and then it does a plot 3. I'm looking for a 10-time action on that. It's very interesting. It has some really, and I use it like the time manifold. It's very interesting. It has that same characteristic to it. So there's the hogs. There's the cattle, our battle and situation with the cattle. And we'll see where they open them up today and see if they drive this down into the minus again. And then we'll remove that green dot right there. That will be removed. If they lift it up, then obviously it's going to be a daily buy again. Now you can see it's a battle in the sense of there's no reason to be short this thing, only profit taking, solely because, again, the weekly is holding up pretty well in here. And you can see the line, the green line there now is trying to flirt with the time manifold and try to break down. Last time it broke down, you had this type of stuff. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to fall from, what is that? Let me grab the mouse over here. So I'm not saying it's going to go break down from, say, 116, is it, down to 106, but I'm saying that it's going to have some downwardly pressure on it, no doubt, if it starts to break through the time manifold and gets minus. Especially, it took a little while for it to get going. And if you notice here, let's widen this out. And let's move this over. Notice on the weekly, because it's a super, so what's happening is we are using a 5 here on a week-to-week basis, and then the other 5 plots are 3s. And you're not seeing plot 4 there. It's invisible at the moment. So, if you'd like to see, let's put that on there for a second and see what it looks like. Will that do it? No, we got to do it thicker. Like that. There we go. You can see the plot 4. Sometimes I look at the difference. It's that relative thing with Al Einstein again. Sometimes I like to watch them and see how they lead. Notice how it jumps across the green line here? And doesn't really hold the strength as much. I was hoping that trying to use it like when it breaks down, it's like a warning that there's even more pressure on a product. But you know what? The histogram is doing the same thing. Remember, the histogram is picking that up too. So there's not much of a reason to have that. That's why I turned it off. So you can't see it. Because the histogram is doing the same thing, so it's minus here. The pink line is hiding that. See? Below the 0 line, the histogram. Matter of fact, it's below the 0 line here too. So the 3 is below it, and it's just showing you that there's a lot of pressure on this product. And then it confirms it with the green line here on the close of that Friday. It's been telling us there's weakness, and boy, did they give it to you in spades. I think Robin and I put out a short back then in October. Is that October? I think that is. In one of them, bar charts or inside futures, and the next day they clocked the heck out of the cattle. So let me think. Yeah, I don't blame you. Long live cattle. This is very firm. Look at it. It's been firm throughout here. We got that little sell-off, and it's showing the weakness for the last 2 days. We'll see. Sell some calls, buy some puts, and you're in like Flynn. That's what I would do. I would sell some calls, or sell some call spreads and buy some puts, and just in case the new year brings in some selling, which I have no idea one way or the other what's going to happen. I just follow the math as I sip my tea. I don't know if it's going to have an influence or not. Let's see, what else can we say about that? Have we answered it all? I think we've given some good explanations. But, traders, again, Doc is going to say it again. There are no stupid questions in trading. There are only long answers or short answers. That's all it comes down to. That's it. All right. So don't be afraid to ask. Like if someone says, "Yeah, Doc, can we take a look at the euro again?" Believe me, I'd go right to it again and start looking at it because I have no idea as a trader, especially when you're not trading on an exchange floor anymore or a trading desk. You have to be proactive. You have no idea the third time you look at something or the fourth time you might see something. So you can ask it 4 or 5 times. I don't care. It's you know what it goes underneath? The classic. Measure twice, cut once. You know what I mean? And sometimes I like to measure 3 times and cut once. So those 3 questions of measurement are well worth it because the worst thing you want is to measure something, cut it wrong, and then have to go get more of it. Just the farm life for me. All right, where are we at? Oh, there we go. Phil says, Doc, what's crude look like? Let's check it out. Let's see what crude's doing. Let's see, where are we at? Right there. Crude is doing that. It's in a minus. Right there. And what else we got going on there? There's crude. Where's that? Line 5. 2 days in a sell. And look at it today. It's trying to get plus again. Now, you can't really take these shorts. Look at it sideways. And let's refresh that, too. Measure 3 times. Cut once. Now, you can see here we're getting a volatility indication because we got a red and a green going on right there. See that? Red and green. Let's see, Doc, what's crude looks like to you and long term? Well, right now, to me, long term over the last 5 weeks has been is it 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, this is a 6th week. Look at where the line is in the histogram, all above the time manifold. You know, it's just barely starting to dip right now. So it's been kind of bullish. And you know, we go and look at some of the other oils like what is it? Soybean oil. Check out March soybean oil. You know, they march along with it. Where is it at? March soybean. There it is. Look at the strength in that thing. That baby's running. No doubt that the you know the beans are bananas right now on the upside. Let's see. Where's beans? Let's look at beans. But I like to watch the soybean oil because it really does give insight. And you can see there's look at Jan. And it's strong today again. They tried to go into the sell here, but we had a did it make it or didn't make it? I forget how that worked. It has that look like it might have been changed a little bit where it's dipping again. But as far as we're concerned, it's been in a daily buy all the way through. And look at the weekly. The weekly just been like 18 weeks or 19 weeks. It's been a while. Now let's take a look at a few of the other oils like Robo. I think I saw Robo, the unleaded or gas oil, acting very, very firm. Where is that? Right there. And notice, traders, we will open up the charts we sent out last night to compare to what's going on now, just to make sure that it's all, you know, following along. Again, measure 3 times, cut once. That's the whole idea here, traders. The idea is to be a winner, not a loser. Yep. So there's, what is it? This is Robo, right? Unleaded. So it's matter of fact, we should have a sell in there now, right? Why does that not have a sell in there? Let's see, we'll change the color. And there's the pressure there. You can see the weekly really strong, going nowhere. So I don't know. I don't think they're really selling oil. I don't think they're doing anything. I don't think you have to worry about it getting smashed at the moment. You know, next week is going to be incredibly volatile in direction of economy globally because, you know, the 3rd on Sunday, they swear in the House of Representatives. On Monday, nothing, I think it is. Tuesday, what do they do Tuesday? They do an election down in Georgia for 2 senators, and then on Wednesday, they do the Electoral College if what they're going to accept out of the Electoral College in the House of Representatives and the Senate, and it's whack. You know, I mean, we could be looking at a Vice President Pence and a President Biden or a President Trump at this point in time. It's going to be weird. There's no doubt about it. So put your hats on, strap in. As we used to say on the trading floor, all married men with children should not be trading at the moment. They should be off the floor. It's dangerous. Anybody with children, stay off. That's pretty much the way it goes there. Be careful, traders. Okay, now where are we at? Anybody see anything else you want to look at? We can take more oil part. Look at natural gas. Let's go into that complex a little bit more. There's natural gas. So it's fighting to go up again. I guess they're expecting some type of cold weather, but look at the weekly. They have not been able to get this thing to turn. I mean, that's a gas line 7 they're running. So it's not a super. And they just can't get this thing to, it topped out here with the sideways action, a little selling, and it moves up again, makes a high, and then smash a doodle. Just crush. So it cracks from the 340 area all the way down to the 240 area. A 33% drop in value. It's a big monster drop. Over a couple months when you're going into the winter. Fundamentals are not good on that one, is it? Let's see, we're in North America and Northern Hemisphere, and the wintertime's coming on, and natural gas is going down in value. Oops. It's like seeing cattle go down in price with people starving. It's like, wait a minute. You think people are starving? They'll be buying any piece of meat they can buy. So, what else is cooking here? I guess that's about it. That's the oil complex. Robo, unleaded, natural gas, crude oil, and the soybean oil. So that's it. Now, where do we go from here? Do we go? Let's take a look at Turkish Lira for the end of the year. We'll slide back over to the currencies until someone figures they want to see something. When you want to see it, let me know. We'll go after it and stop what we're doing and go chase it. Because, again, measure 3 times, cut once. Oh, look at that. A little bounce is going on with the Turkish Lira. Let's refresh that. It's still got a red dot, still minus. It's coming through the time manifold. That's that example I was giving Phil. And did I answer Y47? I think I did, yeah? Right, yeah, it was the euro. Okay. Just want to make sure I'm answering everybody's questions here. Middle age, no problem. I just saw that you said you appreciate it. No problem. We like I said, measure twice, cut once. In some cases, more like me, I'm measuring 3 times and cutting once. And so that's what we're doing here. Measure before we cut. And so you can see here it's trying to bounce. And look at that. The weekly got so far down, distance-wise. I guess you could look at the 0 line to there and see if there's a relationship to here, distance-wise. What was that? Basically one square, I guess you could say, halfway through it. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That went even further into a 5th one. So that was a pretty deep slide, from here to there. We'll see if they try to bring it back up. It was end of year profit taking, or all these other things. You're saying it's all unsettled right now. What's unsettled? You mean the politics and the presidency and all that? Yeah. There's so many laws that have been broken in front of our faces. Trump just put something out. I guess it was yesterday. They just calculated almost, was it 300,000, 3,000, 3 million? I guess it must be 300,000 votes more than registered voters, things like that. Oh, what, the oil? Yeah, I think, it's end of the year. So the problem is that end of the year forces transactions by funds and institutions and investors to make their decision not on if they're bullish or bearish on a product, but if they need to take the profit on one side and take a loss somewhere else. That's why we don't close early on the last day of the year, because all the way up to the end of the day, they want to make sure that they're in the right position for this year and not next year. It's taxes. Now I'm confused, Phil. I don't know. I think I'm lost on the subject. I agree with you. It is messed up now. Oh, you mean the election thing or the oil thing? I'm confused. But I think we're talking about both of them, so that's fine. But yeah, you just tell me which one you want me to pontificate on, and I'll tell you what I think about it. Yeah. Well, the stock market's making a little dip. Nothing major, but a decent one. Oh, election thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's ugly. It's ugly. It's ugly. The amount of criminality that we've seen in front of it all. Yeah, Trump. Matter of fact, what I understand is they believe Trump actually took California this time. They actually think he took California, and the amount of illegal votes out of California are so overwhelming. You know, obviously he did not, but if you remove the illegal votes, they think he actually won California. And there was some really weird stuff. Let me tell you about this. There were some really weird things going on in California the last 6 to 8 weeks of the election. Like, and what I mean by weird was every time Trump went out there, people lined the roads. Not like, one or two people, like thousands and tens of thousands of people lined the roads flying Trump flags. And one time he was going to the airport, from wherever he was at, and he had to go something like 15 or 20 miles. And they said there was like 1.5 million people lined up waving Trump flags. Now, how do you lose a state like that? Something's weird. You don't lose states like that when you see that type of enthusiasm. People are willing to stand on the side of the road waving flags for the president that supposedly they don't want to vote for. That doesn't work that way. It's something weird about that. So they're actually saying he did lose New York State with no problem. I mean, there were, even with the illegal votes, he still lost the state. But they actually think he won California, which is really weird. So, and in the 6 or 7 battleground states where they've documented all the illegal things that went on, and the courts haven't been able to look at yet, and they're just finally starting to look now. They're starting that not one court has looked at any of the illegal stuff. It's not like they've said, "Oh no, it's a fantasy or it's fake." They just refuse to look. So yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff. And next week, oh my God, it's going to be as noisy as it can be, because Pelosi, on Sunday, we may not have Pelosi as Speaker of the House. They say there's a very thin path for her to get there because they lost so many seats. So we're not sure who's going to be Speaker of the House. So then you go from there to what happens Tuesday. This is Sunday. So then that's the 3rd. So then Tuesday you have the election in Georgia. Then that's crazy. Then you have the counting of the Electoral College votes. And what has happened that every battleground state, I believe, has sent double delegates. So they've sent Democrat delegates and Republican delegates. The media is not really talking about that either. And so you have the potential for the Republican delegates to vote for Trump on Wednesday. And then the question is which ones are going to be accepted? So are the Democrat ones going to be accepted, or are the Republican ones going to be accepted on Wednesday, the 6th? It's weird. You can't, and then the odds are very heavy that Pence is going to be vice president no matter who is president. That's even really weird. Yeah, me neither. But we knew something was weird about it because that happened over the last 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. Every time he went to California, there were a lot of people lining the roads for miles and miles. I think one time it was like 20 some odd miles, or 15, 20, 30 miles. People were lined up and just chanting Trump. And it wasn't like, it was like 10,000. It was like in the millions. It was weird. So that's weird. How do you lose a state when you have that much enthusiasm? Now, they claim that those machines that were grabbed in Toronto, Frankfurt, and Spain, Barcelona maybe it was, I'm not sure where they were, in Spain, but they were grabbed. The Dominion ones, they say that Trump won California when it comes to the legal votes. So in other words, what they're doing is they're looking at the votes, seeing who's registered and who's not registered as a voter, and then taking the unregistered voters out. They said he actually won California. So that's this week is going to be weird as all get out. But one thing I can say with confidence, it looks like to me Pence is going to be vice president no matter who is president. That's even weirder. We haven't done that in a long time. We have a president from one party and a vice president from another. We've done that dozens of times. I think at least a dozen times in the United States, but mainly a long time ago. Going into the turn of the last century. 2 centuries back. So that is not abnormal. It's happened many a time. So it's really, remember, we, as much as everybody likes to call us a democracy, we're not a democracy. We're a democratic republic, a democratic constitutional republic. So we function through a constitution and representation, not necessarily. The founders in this country made sure we didn't end up with mob rule. So we're not a democracy. Democracy is 51 people say we take your money from you, 49 people say you don't. That means we take your money. 51 people say we can take your house, and 49 people say you can't. We take your house. That's mob rule, just a majority. And so we're a constitutional by laws. You have to follow the laws, and majority rule does not exist in America. It is constitutional and legal law that exists. So in other words, if you steal an election, sometimes it will be overturned and changed. Doesn't matter that they go, well, we won the votes. They're illegal or illegal, doesn't matter. Now it has to be legal. Everything has to be legal in the states here for it to really count. So when they allow illegal things, there's a risk that things will come back and take it away from them. So no, I know. Well, it's all written. We're a constitutional republic. It's all laws, and so the laws are written and they're clear. It's the judges who have a problem sometimes reinventing what they are. But that's the end of the year, guys. That's how the end of the year around here works. We're seeing the reality coming into these next 6 days are going to be 7 days. These next 7 days are going to be crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And so since we're the only really free nation in the world, more than any of the others, it's important, because if we lose freedom here, then there's no freedom anywhere. So it'll be just mob rule again everywhere across the planet. All right, traders, I want to wish you a happy and healthy new year. Be smart and safe. Don't get poisoned, don't get sick off of bad ice in your adult beverages. When you're having a drink tonight, make sure the ice is good so you don't get sick. Okay? And we will catch you all next year. Same time, same channel. Next Monday, we will know if Mrs. Pelosi is the speaker or not. Right now, the odds are she is not. It's very close. Right now, they say she has a very thin path to being speaker. And she says that if she doesn't get 216, she's stepping down altogether. In other words, she's not going to run a second time, not ask for a second vote. She'll just step down. So she needs 216. And right now they say that she doesn't have 216 votes. So we'll see. Only Sunday will tell. All right. Happy trails to all of you. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Yippee and Happy New